Hey there everyone, welcome to Violet's Dream Tarot. So I wanted to do an unboxing video today, a little bit different from the normal type of reading videos that I do, because I have this gorgeous deck that the lovely Raj got for me. You will have already seen it if you watched my most recent video where I used this deck and I mentioned that I was going to do an unboxing video because I just really like this deck. It is kind of fulfilled something that I was looking for, which is an Egyptian gods oracle that wasn't too flashy with the gold and wasn't so modern in its depiction that it took away from the traditional iconography and the way that deities are depicted, but also wasn't just like bland basic papyrus that can sometimes look a little bit dark or a little bit dull, because I've looked through a lot of these different decks and just felt like none of them really fit what I was looking for, and then I came across this deck and I now have it thanks to the lovely Raj. So we're going to do a little bit of an unboxing. I have of course already opened and used this deck multiple times because I love it so much, so it's not going to be a blind unboxing where I haven't seen the cards already, but I just want to talk through why I like this deck, show you all the beautiful cards, and we'll also pull a card as well for anyone who is watching. So before I open the box, I want to say a big thank you to all of my lovely subscribers. Thank you so much for supporting me and showing that you care. Thank you as well to all of my lovely patrons, including Alexandra, Amy, Alyssa, Alison, Cara and Kelly. Thank you so much to each and every one of you for your kindness and your support. If you haven't subscribed already, please consider doing so. It really helps out my channel and it means that you will never miss out on any videos that I upload in future. So let's take a look at this deck then without any further ado. So the deck is by Silvana Alasia, and I couldn't find out if she was just the author or if she was also responsible for the artwork. I looked, there was no indication of who the author is, who is responsible for the artwork, which is a little bit disappointing because I think it's nice when decks do make a big deal of the author and the artist and sort of have at least a page in the guidebook to explain who they are and how they've come to be involved with the creation of this deck. It's a Lo Scarabeo deck. It's a nice, easy size to have. It's not like a larger deck, although I do tend to like the bigger decks. There's definitely a place for these more medium-sized decks. I sort of think of these as being like a standard size deck, and the box is beautiful. It's really good quality. I like how it's got this sort of gilt edging. It almost comes across a little bit holographic because if you tilt it, it looks different in the light. Really appreciate the work that's gone into designing that box. And also, one of my favorite things, when you open it you get this little ribbon, and that's so useful because it lifts out the cards for you, and it means that you're not like clawing down the side to pick up the cards, because sometimes that means that you end up scuffing the cards or damaging them, especially if you're not taking all of them out when you could just tip them. If you're just looking for one card, or if you just want to pull them out without having them spill everywhere, it can be quite difficult to do that. So in terms of the guidebook, I think it's quite a standard guidebook for Lo Scarabeo in that it looks fairly thick, but it's actually divided into multiple languages. So there's English, Italian, Spanish, Portuguese and Russian. So it's all the same stuff. It tells you about the deck. It tells you about why it's being created, who the Egyptian deities are. I appreciate that. I always like there's illustrations in decks. And then on each page you have some information about the deity, which is useful if they are using some lesser known deities, which they definitely have included. And then it also gives you a meaning for the card, which again I like. I think sometimes there's definitely been decks that I've had, without wanting to name names necessarily, where they've had a whole concept and on each card there's been maybe reference to a deity or an ascended master, or even just like a particular concept, and then when you go to the guidebook there's no explanation as to what that is, and it's kind of incumbent upon you then, if you don't know, to do your own research. And sometimes it goes the other way and it just sort of gives you information like that but doesn't tell you actually how to use the cards in terms of like a meaning that you could use in a reading and interpretive meaning. So it's nice that they have that double use in the guidebook, but it isn't extremely in-depth. It's still quite brief, although I think, again, that's quite normal for Lo Scarabeo. I've never seen them do a really, really detailed guidebook, so I don't think we could really have expected that from this type of deck. So the back of the cards is really detailed. You've got this beautiful mirror image. And what I like about this deck, as I mentioned earlier, is that you've got the iconography and the style that gives you the feel of Egypt, but it's not dull, but it's also not garish. Sometimes you get decks that are really like overly done with gold or like really bright, vibrant colors. It's not too eye-catching like that. So the cards aren't in order because I have already been using them quite extensively, but I will do a flip through of each of the cards. You can see the first one here is number 17, Sekhmet, Justice. So they've got a number, which is really helpful when you're looking for the card in the guidebook. You've got the name of the deity, and then you've got a keyword for that card. So I appreciate that. I do like cards that have keywords on them. So as you can see, it's got like a neutral papyrus background, but it's not too dull. And then they've also got brighter, more vibrant colours, beautiful Isis there, but it's not too eye-catching or garish. They've also made sure to show each deity not just in full, but also with symbols that they are associated with, which I think could be useful if you are just learning about Egyptian mythology, if this is part of a spiritual practice, if you're wanting to get involved with particular deities in your own meditation and prayer and personal practice. It can be helpful to have those little hints and to remember, oh, you know, Horus is associated with the Eye of Horus and this particular type of staff. Which you might otherwise find it harder to remember. I love this card. I love the really vibrant blue that stands out. And I like how this deck has branched out into less well-known deities as well. There's definitely been some through using this deck already that I've come across that I didn't really know much about prior to using this deck. It's always nice to learn something. There's that bright blue again, lovely Lady Nut, Mother of Isis. I think I also like how every background is subtle enough that it doesn't take away from the image and the words, but it's also always different. So if you want to get lost in it and take a look and really analyze deeply everything that's going on in the background, you really can. And I like cards that have that extra deeper layer of meaning, but it also doesn't detract from the main words or the main imagery and iconography that is meant to grab your attention. You could definitely use these cards as art, like you could prop them up around your house and have them as artwork, but you could also put them on an altar or use them as a focus for prayer or meditation, especially if you're trying to work with a particular deity or you want to maybe learn more about a deity or cultivate some qualities that they're associated with. In terms of card numbers, it's pretty standard in that I think it's either 44 or 45 cards, which is common for a deck of this size. So let's give it a try. You've seen the cards, you've seen the guidebook, the beautiful box, but how does that translate into practice? So they shuffle nicely. They are not completely matte, they're a little bit sheer, but not so shiny and glossy that you would struggle to see them if there was a light shining on it. I think this is the type of card that I prefer, really, because I find really glossy cards sometimes they stick together when you're shuffling them. And also there can be an issue if you want to take a picture of the card or if you want to lay it out in a decoration way. The light can catch it and obscure the image. They're a nice size as well, cardstock wise. They're not too thick, but they're also not too thin. Feels nice to shuffle. So let's see what message we're going to get today. Wow, that was quick. So Bastet, Passion, number 16. Beautiful cat goddess. Let's take a look at the guidebook then and see how this all ties in together. So if we read what it has to say, it says cat-headed female deity, or portrayed as a black cat. Sun goddess, she personifies the beneficial heat of the sun. Protectress of the house and cats, goddess of prosperity and wealth, she represents sensuality and tenderness, charm and generosity, love and passion, desire and pleasure. So that's the aspect that tells you about the deity and gives you some of their associations, and sometimes it gives you an origin story as well if they have important parentage. Then we move on to the predictive or meaning aspect of the card. It says, maybe you should take a break from your routine and reconnect with nature and with yourself. Live your life with more fullness and passion. It lies within your ability to develop seduction and passion. You could get great satisfaction in any area of your life and experience moments full of joy and satisfaction. That's a really nice message of reconnecting with what brings you joy. She was also a goddess of music and dance as well. Whenever I see Bastet, I feel like there is a call to move your body to get more into the flow of things. I feel like we should pull one more while we're here. Okay, number 22, Anoket. Hope. I love the cascading water of this card. I think I'm really drawn to the bright blues in this deck for some reason. And blue is my second favorite color, but it's just really attractive in this deck. So the guidebook says, she is depicted as a woman with a high headdress made of reeds or ostrich feathers. More rarely, she is represented in the form of a gazelle. Being the goddess of the Nile, she is linked to its floods, which bring nourishment, fertility, and prosperity to the earth. This is where she gets her name, She Who Surrounds. That is, her invasion of the lands that embrace every being to bring fertility and happiness. She represents the generosity that gives rise to life. So a lot of those associations have been represented in this card, like the headdress and the reeds and the ostrich feathers and the flowing water. So let's look at the meaning. Trust in the protection of Anoket, who will guide you and bolster your courage, who gives you intensity and hope even when renunciations and sacrifices arise. Remember that hope is in the heart of the optimist. So passion and hope then. I would take these cards to mean that now is a good time to get involved with interests that you've maybe let fall by the wayside a little bit. I think this is quite a nice combination of cards, given that if you're watching this when I post it, we're about to enter into spring in the Northern Hemisphere, so a lot of people will have had hobbies that they've had to put to one side over the winter, maybe because they were outdoor hobbies, or maybe just because they wanted to go into a bit of hibernation mode over that time. And now is the opportunity to reconnect with that. But for some of you, it might be interests and passions and hobbies that you've maybe not taken up since you were a child, or for a very long time in your life, maybe even past life skills, past life interests rising to the forefront now. And this is a message of hope in the sense that you now have more space in your life, whether you realize it or not, to get involved with these things that bring you joy. You deserve to spend that time devoted to the things that you love. I know that this is something that comes up for me sometimes. I'm someone who loves to keep busy, loves to work, really likes to make sure that everything is sorted before I sit down and rest. And I find that if you look hard enough, there's always more that could be done, you know? So I sometimes find that I struggle with things that are like hobbies or interests that don't feel that they have any particular use, just because I feel like I should be doing something quote unquote useful with my time. So maybe you're having a similar situation where you're thinking, the hour a week that I do this particular hobby, or the afternoon that I spend playing sport at the weekend, that could be spent studying, or it could be spent working on my career, or it could be doing some kind of class to better myself, or it could be just done cleaning the house and getting things tidy there. But actually, I think really that mindset downplays the importance of downtime and what those hobbies bring to you. They might bring a new skill or even some soft skills with them. They might bring just some headspace away from a particular issue. They might get you out moving and being active. They might just grant you some time to relax. And I think all of these things are important. We just have learned in society to label them as maybe not being so important, but I think getting back to that will bring a lot of joy. So have a think after this video about what this could be talking about for you, what sort of hobby you would like to get involved with, maybe something you've done before, maybe something you've always wanted to try, or something that's recently caught your attention, maybe a new skill that you want to take to the next level, or a sport that you want to pick up again. And maybe try and give it a go. Maybe today or over the next week, try and put in some action towards making that a reality. So in conclusion, you guys, I really like this deck, as I'm sure you've gathered from watching this video. I think it's a beautiful deck. I think the guidebook is nice. I think the box has some nice, lovely little finishing touches to it. I think the cards are of excellent quality. What I would like from it would be to know more about the author and the artist, but I appreciate that might not be how Lo Scarabeo usually does things. I would also maybe appreciate longer guidebook entries, but that's just me personally. I like words. I'm a wordy person. I'm a polyglot. I really get behind that, and I can really lose myself in the guidebook sometimes if I've pulled, say, a particular card for myself or for a client, and I either during the reading or afterwards want to go into it a little bit deeper, and I can just read like 5 pages of a guidebook entry that's just for that one card. And I like that. So I appreciate that's not for everyone, and you might be, watching this video thinking that's not an issue for me. Great, if so. But I think it would be nice to expand on those cards maybe a little bit more, because I feel like there's more to say here than what we've been given in the guidebook, but then also that it's nice to develop our own meanings and understanding. And I think with these cards being the type of deck that they are, with deities depicted upon them, a lot of people might want to use these for personal practice and as focal points for meditations or prayers, or as altar decorations, or even something like to put under your pillow or in a folder that you take to work with you as like a little luck charm, or a reminder, at least mentally, that that deity is with you, or that you have these qualities, or that you have prayed for help in this aspect of your life. So they're very versatile, definitely outside of the typical reading use that you might expect from cards. I hope you've enjoyed this. I have so many decks. I could definitely do more unboxings in the future. I think I've only done one in the past, and that was when I got the Lemurian Starchild Oracle, because that was an independent deck and I was just blown away with the quality of everything from the box to the cards to the guidebook. It was insane, and it must have cost them so much and taken so much time for them to put that together. So I was so impressed that I immediately went and made an unboxing video, or it might have been an unboxing at the start of a reading, possibly, before I even began using them, because I just wanted to spread the word about that deck because I was really pleased with it. But I could do more if this is interesting to you guys. I hope you've enjoyed this. Now you know that there's another deck that you can possibly go and get on your wish list if you haven't already. And if this is adding to another list of things that you need to buy, then I do apologise, but I had to spread the word about this deck. And thank you again to Raj for sending this to me. I am over the moon with it, and I look forward to using it more in the future. So have a lovely rest of your day, guys. Thank you so much for being here. Do subscribe if you're interested in my videos and you never want to miss out on any of my uploads. Thank you to all of my patrons and clients and subscribers. Take care, and I'll see you again soon. Bye bye.